Not so long ago I made this video and this video about the new Line 6 Agora amps, and what I did was I compared the old amps in the old Helix to the new stuff in the trailers that Paul Hindmarsh has been putting out for Line 6. And you know what? I got a lot of comments. I got a lot of very positive comments, but I got quite a few stupid ones. This video is about the stupid comments. Alright, so what were the stupid comments? Well, obviously we're going to get things like, I don't need this. Who needs a £2,000 modeler? I can do it for XYZ amount of pounds or dollars and next to nothing. Who needs showcase mode? What's that about? We don't need that. Why do we need to pay all this money? I've got all the sounds I want. It already sounds good. You know what? Every time anything has moved forward, there's always been the Luddites and those who resist. And you know what? Without calling names here, I think there's a little bit of that going on. I know people don't like change and don't need to move or don't want to move forward. But you know what? When some lad invented the wheel, there'll have been somebody stood there watching him going, wheel? What do you want that for? There's loads of examples. Cameras on phones. Why do you want a camera on a phone? Text messages. Why can't you just ring people up? Telephones. Why do you want a telephone? Just go around the house. What do you need all of that fancy stuff for? You just need a guitar amp and a volume pot. The list goes on and on and on, doesn't it, of things that people have improved and changed. Well, it's not quite the same, but I think there's a lot of that going on here. Oh, and I've got to say, this is not a sponsored video. Every bit of Line 6 gear I've ever owned, and there's been quite a bit, I've bought and paid for myself, and Line 6 have got no say in what I say in this video. This is all my own thoughts. Good or bad, right or wrong, it's all my thoughts. That's maybe not such a good thing after all. So what I want to talk about is what we're going to get initially, what it looks like we're going to get in the very near future. I want to talk about what showcase mode might mean to me and might mean to you. I want to talk about value for money, and I want to talk about future, the future of the whole thing. And you know, I want to contextualize it in terms of a 10-year window. So let's get into this. I want to talk about the context. I want to talk about the old Helix and how far away it's going to be, I think, from what's coming. So the old one is 10 years old. It came out in 2015. And under the hood there, the processors are two Shark processors, okay? So two 10-year-old processors. But at the time, they weren't the leading edge processor. Remember, this thing was designed to last for, according to Eric Klein in one of his videos, 4 years. It's been 10. And the things that have been developed software-wise have come on and on and on. So processing-wise, we know it's bursting at the seams to get more stuff happening in there. Okay, so let's just think about this. In 2015, there were two Shark processors in the Helix. However, in 2011, Fractal had their Axe-FX 2, which had two Tiger Shark processors. So already when it came out, it wasn't leading edge as far as processing power is concerned. We don't know what's in the new one, but I tell you what, it's going to be a ton more. A ton more. I say it's bursting at the seams, and I mean it. Think about the polycapo, some of the newer amps, the more sophisticated delays and reverbs that have come out in later years. You add them into your patches, and you very, very quickly start to lose, and you add them into your patches, and you find you're very, very quickly running out of DSP, aren't you? Now that says to me that the programming is going way beyond what the hardware can actually cope with. So now we're getting the hardware, and the shackles are off, if you like. The programming can be done, the bigger modules put in there, the more sophisticated amps. We're getting the Agora, which we know won't run on the old one because it's just not powerful enough. So that's going to be the thing. For me, it's the future, not what you're buying now. So what does a brand new Helix Stadium actually cost? Let's just do a cheeky little bit of maths on this to see how expensive or inexpensive it really is. So the Helix comes in at, let's say, £2,000 here in the UK. You can probably just change that sign to dollars if you're in the US or whatever. Okay, so £2,000. You're going to have that for 10 years. So count that as weeks. So that's 10 years, 52 weeks. That's 520 weeks. Okay, that's a lot of weeks. So let's get our calculator out and do 2,000 divided by 520 equals. It works out as £3.85 per week. £3.85 per week. If you buy it now, that's what it's going to cost you. So in context, yes, it's a lot up front, but it's probably not that bad. I think some of the whinging about that I don't need any more and it's good enough for me and all that kind of thing, all of that comes from Line 6. It's Line 6's fault that that's happened. And it's not Line 6's fault in a bad way because they've been terrible, exactly the opposite. It's their fault because they've been good, because they've constantly improved and made things better. Think about these little statistics, okay? When it first came out, there were 46 amps in it. Now there's 110. There were 79 effects. Now there's 190. The cab block has been completely redesigned. Completely redesigned. That's a new cab block we've got. And all of the amps, or most of the amps, have been updated in some way or other to be made to sound better. So Line 6 have constantly improved it and made everything as good as they possibly can be all the way along. So what you've got now is nowhere near what we had when the thing was launched 10 years ago. Those two, you could put the 10-year-old and the newest Helix next to each other, and they're two completely different products because they've been redesigned from the inside out. So if that's the last 10 years, what's the next 10 years going to have? Now the easy answer to that is, I don't know. I really don't. However, look at Eric Klein's video. I'll link it below where he's talking about what's going to be in the stadium from the start. And that's pretty impressive. I mean, some of the things that are going into this thing, yeah, so far so good. Then there's new innovation because there's going to be new stuff coming along all the time. We're at the brink of an AI revolution. Already this week, I've just seen it before I started making this video, Positive Grid have announced their new version of their, whatever it's called, the bias effects, I think. And that's now using AI, so you can say to it, make me a Van Halen sound, and it goes, okay, you need this, this, and this, and it puts it together for you and makes a complete guitar rig out of its own components to sound like a Van Halen sound. Or you say it would give me this, and it will do it. Is something like that coming? Is that a possibility? The possibilities really are just down to the imagination of the lads that work at Line 6, because anything is possible. Think of it like this, okay? The Helix is a box. The old Helix is quite a little box that they've been stuffing things into, and it's full. You can't get any more in there. But there's going to be ideas, and there's going to be people thinking, oh, well, we could do this, and we could do that, and we could do that. But we can't get them in the box. So what do? You get a bigger box. And that's what the Helix Stadium is. It's just a bigger box that more stuff can go into it. A good example of that's the showcase mode that's coming along. You know, there's all the naysayers going, oh, well, I don't possibly need that. Why would I want that in a guitar modeler? Well, it's not just a guitar modeler anymore, is it? Remember, it's just a box with things that happen inside it. Okay, so you can make things very, very interesting happen inside that box. For instance, here's a couple of scenarios, okay? Suppose at the end of your set, you want a play off. A bit of music to play you off. Boom. Put it on a foot switch. And there you go. Because at the minute, I've got to do that, but I've got to take a bow, I've got to talk to the audience, and I've got to get to the side where my iPad is to press play and to get the channels and all sorts of things like that, and I've got to faff about like that. One switch, boom, done, on. You could use it for bizarre interludes in the middle of songs, even if you want to press play on that. You can use it as backing tracks. If you're a solo artist, you can run your backing tracks from your Helix. So you have one box. It's got a microphone in it. Can you then plug your microphone in it and run your vocal effects through it as well? So you don't need a mixing desk. You just have your Helix on the floor, straight into your speakers. That would be useful. There's the obvious implications of being able to use it for playback, so you can put a couple of tracks on it, put your click on it, put your talk back on it, run it to your in-ears and run it to everybody else's in-ears, and away you go. That's going to be really, really useful. You'll be able to run all your MIDI stuff with it. You'll be able to run synths with it. I used to do that. I used to cart a computer around with me just to run MIDI backing tracks, to run the lights, to run my vocal harmonizers, and to run sequences, to change sounds and do all of that. But I used to have to cart a computer around with me to do that. You still do. Well, if you could do that in your Helix, would that not be useful? Would that not be a little space saver and a time saver? You know, if you're just running a band, boom, there's your next song, there's your next song, there's your next song. That's one example. They're also talking about bringing in captures. It could be their own technology. It could be something else. It could be NAMM captures. Who knows? The future is big and open. And if the box is big enough, think of all the things that could be stuffed inside it. So if you get the Helix now, I keep saying Helix, if you get the Stadium now, then in 10 years' time, what are you going to have? Because think about it, the old Helix doubled 46 amps to 110. Effectively, you got a free Helix over the years compared to what you started with. Well, what are we starting with now? And it's quite impressive now what they're talking about. What's it going to be in 10 years' time? What's it going to be at the end? Maybe you don't need it all, but you don't know what's coming. I don't know what's coming. Maybe Line 6 don't even know what's coming. There may be something useful there. There may be something really useful there. You don't know what you're going to do in 10 years' time. I don't know. I think it's an exciting time as far as this is concerned. We've got a company there that are very, very innovative. It's probably harder to do than it is to say, but you know what? Let's just see what happens, okay? I apologise if I'm rambling a little bit, but you know what? It's because I'm rambling, really. Anyway, like and subscribe. Tell me what you think, and I'm going to the pub. Cheers.